Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Avinash, and in this video, I'm going to discuss about a small project. Okay, so in this specific project, I'm going to primarily use three components. One is DynamoDB for backend database storage, and second one is Lambda. It acts as a web server. So then API Gateway, it acts as a front end. Okay, so whenever any customer trying to access my application, right, so the request will come to API Gateway. API Gateway is going to read that API call and it is going to processed by the Lambda. And even I'm going to read some information. I'm going to get whatever information customer is trying to enter. I'm going to read that information and I'm going to write that information in backend DynamoDB table. Okay, before starting this implementation, we have a prerequisite so that we have to create an IAM role for this Lambda function. So this Lambda function should able to write data to backend DynamoDB table, right? So we are going to create a role and we are going to associate that role to our Lambda function. So as a first step, navigate to IAM, navigate to roles, click on create role. I'm going to create a role for this AWS service called Lambda. Under use cases, select Lambda, then click on next. So for this Lambda function, what exactly permissions we really required? So if you observe, so this Lambda basic access execution role is definitely required. So this Lambda basic access execution role will provide permission to write the logs whenever any text execution happened. So this is basically required. Also, along with this, I'm going to use this DynamoDB full access also, and also this Lambda uh, invoke function, right? These permissions also may require. So currently I'm going to give DynamoDB full access, or if you have any doubt like about this permission, you can simply associate administrator access if you're facing any issue later. Okay, let me click on next and I'm going to give name as admin hyphen lambda hyphen role. So then click on create role. Now an IAM role created. So the prerequisite part completed. Now as a first thing, I'm going to create a Lambda function and then I'm going to create a DynamoDB table. Okay, so first let's go to Lambda, select Lambda and click on create function. And this function name you can give any. I'm going to call this as Avinash demo function, and runtime I'm using Python 3.8. And under this execution role, the role we have created some time back, I'm going to use that admin lambda role. Then click on create function. All right, a lambda function created, and we should write some code here. So I already prepared this code and I'm going to share this code with you guys. So these all code or the supported documents, it's in this repository. So here is a URL. I'll also share this URL in our video description. So you can simply clone or you go to this project 4 and here we have a zip file. You can simply select this and there you have this download option. You can use this download option and download this. Okay, so now what exactly this Lambda function contains? So this Lambda function contains actually three files. One is contact us page. Whenever a customer trying to access our application, first this contact page will open. Whatever the information he is going to fill, right? Whatever the message he is going to write here, whenever he click on submit, it actually stores in backend database. Okay, currently it's not happening. Whenever I click on submit, nothing happening. So once that he click on submit, immediately if the data written successfully to backend DynamoDB table, the success.html page is going to load. This is what it is. Okay, and also this Lambda function is going to throw an error if in between if we have any errors and all. So let me open this Lambda function and let me explain you what exactly this is going to do. So basically this Lambda function is going to act as a simple web server. So it serves contact us.html page. You see here, it serves contacts.html page whenever we get any GET request from our API gateway. So it is going to load this contact.html. And whenever any post request is coming, you observe here, whenever any HTTP method, if it is a post request, what's happening? This success.html page is going to load. And not only that, for this post request, what's happening? A DynamoDB is loading here. And in DynamoDB, there is a table name here. As a sample one, I am calling it as a Avinash table. Okay, and within this Avinash table, I'm going to insert all this information, whatever the information I'm getting it from this contact us.html, all that information I'm going to write it in this backend DynamoDB table. Okay, so this is what this Lambda code is doing. And what I'm doing, I'm going to zip all this. I'm going to zip all this. Where is that? Compress. And I'm going to upload. Okay, so our Lambda function name is Avinash demo function. I'll keep same name for this as well. Rename. All right. So you can upload this zip file into an S3 bucket and you can browse that S3 location also here. So, but the thing is, whenever you want to use that option, okay, so you have to, whatever the role you associated to this Lambda function, right? So to this role, you need to give get object permission on that S3 bucket. Okay, right. So now let's go to upload, then click on zip file, click on upload. It's on my local laptop, Avinash demo function.zip. So then click on open. Okay, then save. Now immediately all these files should open here. So this Mac OS X, it comes defaultly whenever we are zipping. So I'm just going to delete this, not really required. So these are the three files, this Lambda function, success.html and contact.us.html. So contact.us.html is loading here and success.html is loading here and DynamoDB is going to point. So now, so the Lambda part currently completed. Now let's go to DynamoDB. In DynamoDB, we have an option called tables. Go to tables option, then click on create table. So now it's asking me to enter the table name. So as per our code, our table name should be Avinash table. I'm going to give same thing as here. And what exactly this partition key is. So I'm going to use email as a partition key and that's going to be a string. So then scroll down. So if you want to customize any settings, like, you want to choose the storage classes, you want to provision this capacity on demand, or you want to specify your read capacity units and write capacity units, you can uh, define that here. But for this demo, I'll go with the default settings. So then scroll down, then click on create table. All right, so now a DynamoDB table is creating. Okay, it won't take much time. So DynamoDB is going to be very quick. So we don't require any clusters. So basically, the good thing with this architecture is all components are serverless components. Lambda is a serverless mechanism. DynamoDB also doesn't require any servers. AWS main is a server. API gateway also serverless. So we are completely using serverless mechanism here. Okay, the DynamoDB table created, and do we have any items now? So when you go to this explore items, when you select the table, do we have any items? No, we don't have any items. Let's keep this DynamoDB aside. So now we completed this DynamoDB part as well as Lambda part. Now let's configure API Gateway. So let's go to API Gateway. And within this API gateway, we have an option called REST API. So this REST API works over the internet. REST API private works only within our VPC. Okay, so click on this REST API, click on build. So I'm going to create a new API and API name. So we can give any name like Avinash Demo API is a API name I'm giving, and API endpoint is going to be regional, not a private. Okay, then click on create API. All right, so now an API created. Next option is we need to create methods. So if you recall our Lambda function, so we are primarily performing here in this Lambda, we are primarily performing this get operation and post operation, right? So we need to configure both methods here. First, go to this API, then click on create method, and under method type, we have an option called get. So select that get option and Lambda function, and make sure you enable this Lambda proxy integration. So if you don't enable this, the request won't send as a structured event. And whatever the Lambda function in which region you created, whatever the Lambda function you created, select that Lambda function. So we created this Avinash demo function, right? I'm selecting it, and we are good with the default timeout, that is 29 seconds. At 30th second, it is going to timeout. Then click on create method. Okay, so now we have configured get method. In same way, let's go to this root and click on create method, and now select post. Select the post, and I'm going to use this Lambda function. Make sure you enable Lambda proxy integration. Lambda function name I'm going to select again, then click on create method. All right, so we have created our required API calls, and then we need to deploy this API. Click on deploy API. So the stage, you can create a new stage, and in simple, you can call this stage as a dev, or you can give any name, then click on deploy. So whenever you complete this deployment, you're going to get an invoke URL. So let me copy that invoke URL. So this is a invoke URL. Okay, so now whenever we are giving this invoke URL in our browser, so it is loading this web page. So again, where this web page is actually, so it's in Lambda. It's in our Lambda function. Sorry, it's here. So in Lambda function, whatever this contact us.html we have, right? Whenever we give our API invocation URL, we are getting that page. And now I'm going to fill some information. Okay, I'm going to call this as Avinash, last name as a Reddy, giving my email ID, then giving a message. Hello, this is my test project on AWS Serverless Delivery. Then click on submit. Whenever we submitting this, yeah, if the data it's storing in backend DynamoDB table, it's going to load. So basically, this is another web page. So this is success.html web page. So now, even if you want to try, you can test with another information. Earlier we have given Avinash, and it won't accept duplicate values. The reason in DynamoDB we have given email as a primary one, right? so it won't accept the duplicate values. I'm going to give like a name as a test, calling it as a YouTube, uh, Avinash @avinash.com. This is second test. Then click on submit. Whenever we submitted, again it's displaying that success message. Now, how to verify this? So to verify this, you first need to go to DynamoDB. Where is that? Yeah, it's here. Here is our DynamoDB table. And go to Explore Items. When you click on this Avinash table and when you give a refresh here, you observe whatever the information we have filled there. The first name, the last name, the message, you see here that all information is storing here, right? So whatever the message also, it's actually storing here in backend DynamoDB. So in same way, you can fill multiple. Like let me give, um, right? It's trying to read previous. It's trying to submit previous information only. Okay, test, 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 and submit. All right. Now again go to DynamoDB, give a refresh. You see here, test, and it's back and it's storing in DynamoDB. Okay, so this is what the architecture. Whenever we are trying to access, it is hitting API gateway, and the Lambda is taking care about that get request or post request, and it is delivering the required web page via API gateway, and also it is going to store information in backend DynamoDB table. Also, if you want to give any custom domain names, we even have in DynamoDB options like custom domain names. So you can give your domain name and you can even associate certificates, and then you can create domain and you can map it in your Route 53 also. All right, that is all about this project. Uh, Thanks for watching this video. See you again in next scenario or project. Thank you.